The company we're focused on today is Foxtel, and they manufacture security devices used by top secret technology companies. So, pretty interesting business model for Foxtel. Now, what they're focused on here is assessing the trend in the inventory turnover ratio from year 2 to year 3. So, let's take a second to talk about the formula for the inventory turnover ratio and really what it means, right? So, we can see that the formula is just cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. So again, with the turnover ratio, you have to remember that it's the average and not the ending. And so what this formula can help us understand is how quickly a company sells through their inventory. So what we can do here is use the year 2 inventory turnover ratio, which was 4.7 times, and then calculate the year 3 ratio, and then determine, did the company sell through inventory more quickly, or were they slower in year 3? Because there is some risk associated with selling through inventory at a slower rate, because that means it sits in the warehouse longer and become obsolete, damaged, or whatever, stolen, right? So let's calculate the inventory turnover ratio for year 3 first. So as you can see, cost of goods sold for year 3 was $175,000, so that's in the numerator. And then in the denominator, we're going to take the average balance between year 2 and year 3. So that's 50,000 plus 35,000 divided by 2. That's an average of 42,500. And when we perform that math, it results in an inventory turnover ratio of 4.1. So how does that ratio compare to year 2? Well, year 2 was 4.7 times. So we're seeing a decline or decrease in the ratio from year 2 to year 3. And when that ratio declines, one possible indicator is that inventory moved more slowly, right? They weren't able to sell through it as quickly. So think about the snail, it's moving more slowly through the warehouse, right? So that is going to be a risk for Foxtel because that inventory is sitting longer and it's not being sold as quickly. But when we go through and looked for the correct statement here, well, the only one that makes sense is that the inventory turnover ratio decreased from 4.7 times in year 2 to 4.1 times in year 3, which indicates the company sold through inventory at a slower pace. So for the CPA exam, you might have to calculate the inventory turnover ratio, and that will be easy. The harder part is being able to interpret that ratio, which is super, super important, right? Think about why a management team or an investor or creditor wants to calculate the inventory turnover ratio. Well, they're trying to assess risk in Foxtel. And again, when we see a decline in the inventory turnover ratio, that means inventory is moving more slowly, which increases the risk of inventory becoming obsolete, damaged, or stolen.